Hi folks, how are you doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the north-west of England. I'm offering this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. It is titled, rather grandly I think perhaps, Don Quixote, How We Can Build a More Beautiful World. But before we begin, I invite us just to still ourselves together now in silence. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us all. I have lit the flame of freedom in this cup of belonging, acceptance, and of love. We join together despite our physical separation, united in our devotion to life and to love. Holy One who has given us the breath of life, today we remember to breathe deeply, to rest, to take in, to pause before we act, and then to take in another deep breath, poised on the edge, and risk jumping in, risk taking action, risk speaking up, risk using the gifts we have been given, so that at the end of our life we can say with absolute clarity that no part of our existence was wasted in fear of failure or fear of success. Hold us, prepare us the way to begin to offer the gift of our awakened presence, full of love and full of light this day and in all the days to come. These are the prayers of our hearts that we lift up now. May it be so. Amen. I'm going to begin this reflection properly with a little poem by Jan Taddeo. It's called Three Things. Three Things by Jan Taddeo. The storm outside echoes the storm raging within my soul. So many people in need, so much pain, so much grief. Too many causes and campaigns fill my mailboxes, sap my energy, beg for my money. Three things I must do. Only three things? You've got to be kidding. Which three do I choose? Books and letters, magnets and movies implore me to dance as if no one is watching. Learn 7 habits and make 4 agreements. Give generously, vote often, express myself. Yet hundreds, thousands, millions live with hunger and thirst in poverty, enduring violence and disease. Did Mother Teresa, Martin, and Ghandi cry out with despair from the darkness of overwhelm? What 3 things did they choose? 3 things. 3 things we must do. Is it to act in kindness, serve justice, love your God and your neighbour even as you love yourself? But where do I start? So much thoughtlessness, hatred, and fear. Too little justice, too much selfishness. Where is God? Who is my neighbour? 3 things, 7 principles, 10 commandments, 12 steps. All number of things speak to us, and yet we must choose. We must choose to do something, so 3 things may be the right number, not too few, not too many. But which 3 things shall I do? Will you do? Here's an adage I've always liked. Don't just do something, stand there. Stand in the surf or sit on a rock or lay your body across the earthy loam and be quiet, very quiet. Do you hear it? That still small voice, the echo of your soul reverberating with the call to your own true self to emerge. Then the calm within becomes the calm without. The storm blows over. The sun recovers its position of strength, and that glorious symbol of hope and unity emerges across the sky. At the end of this rainbow, a treasure. The three things you must do. Go outside yourself and know the needs of the world. Go within and discover your life-given gifts. Then arch yourself like a rainbow bridge between the two and create a more beautiful world. A more beautiful world. I love Jan Taddeo's poem Three Things. I identify with the struggle of living the spiritual life, living it in this life. And it's a good question. How does one live spiritually alive, live ethically in this life? How do you grow spiritually in this world without becoming too self-indulgent? I like the balance of the three simple things that Taddeo concludes with in her beautiful poem. Go outside yourself and know the needs of the world. Go within and discover your life-given gifts. Then arch yourself like a rainbow bridge between the two and create a more beautiful world. This seems a wonderful way to live in such a way as to begin to build that kingdom of love right here, right now, by living your true authentic life. That said, although it sounds simple, it is far from easy. How do we do this? Also, no doubt if you begin to do so, you may well be considered a madman or a madwoman. The great sages they all were. They were considered odd or insane by many in their day. They were sometimes mocked and ridiculed. They were sometimes considered fools. Well, perhaps they were fools, but they were holy fools. And they were fools like us. Fools like us. Fools like us. They were fools just like you and me. They were no different. We can be holy fools too. Maybe we already are. I'm sure I'm considered a fool, if not a holy one. By some at least. Taddeo's poem, Three Things, came up as a Facebook memory the other day. I find a lot of gems on social media, some of it deep and others, well, less so, shall we say. And I recently found a group that has brought me a great deal of light relief. This is the Absurd Sign Project. It is basically a place where people share absurd image signs from all over the world. Some are silly mistakes made and others are obviously deliberate jokes. One of them being this picture here. Can you see it? Depicting a figure on a horse there with a red line through it, with what appears to be a long pole in his hand. You can see this thick red line through the image, suggesting that such things are not allowed. Behind this sign is a windmill, and I recognise this image. It's a wonderful, wonderful image from literature, from human history, I suppose, literature really. I thought it was absolute genius, just absolutely brilliant. So I posted it on Facebook, and lots of people responded with humour. But after about a day, a brave soul posted that he didn't understand the image and asked what it meant. So I explained that it was an image of Don Quixote, or Don Quixote, apparently, as the English are supposed to pronounce it. Or that's at least what Melvin Bragg said the other day when I listened to him talking about it on a Radio 4 programme. Yes, I sometimes listen to Radio 4. Be quiet. I then explained that the sign is saying no tilting at windmills, which means no jousting with windmills, no going to battle with windmills. Well, you may well ask, what on earth does that mean? Well, it's come to mean do not fight with imaginary enemies, the ones you make up in your own mind. Now, do not fight with imaginary enemies seems like sensible advice, does it not? Of course, such enemies are just as likely to be within us as they are outside of us out there. In life, sometimes our perceived enemies are real, and sometimes they are enemies created by our own imaginings. I was talking with a couple of friends the other day about this, really. They didn't understand the Don Quixote quote either, but they didn't say so publicly, so I explained to them what it was about. This led to an interesting conversation on anxiety and the spiritual life, which planted the seed, I suppose, for this devotion and the service that this devotion has come from. This is just an extract, really. Something I created from my own mind, my imaginings. But I wasn't at war, don't worry. There's much excitement around at the moment as life continues to open. Next week is another step. I'm looking forward to a week on the Yorkshire coast. It'd be lovely to get away. This is all positive news, but it is worth remembering that while it is exciting, it does lead to anxiety for many folk. Our imaginations can lead to all kinds of fears and perceived enemies, enemies both internal and external. So let's try not to tilt at those windmills. Let's instead follow Jan Taddeo's suggestion of 3 simple things. To go outside yourself and know the needs of the world, go within and discover your life-given gifts, then arch yourself like a rainbow bridge between the two and create a more beautiful world. But let's do so with discernment. Don Quixote, who tilted at windmills, seems to me to be a classic example of the holy fool. Yes, jousting with windmills is utter folly. It is utter madness, of course it is. He is the hero of Cervantes' novel, The Ingenious Knight of La Mancha, published in 1604. The novel recounts the story of a man who, after spending his life reading about the heroic exploits of knights, decides that he must return to the chivalric values of the day. It is thought that he lost his mind, as he didn't eat or sleep properly for years as he became engrossed with the heroic stories of the knights. Then, in his old age, he decided to become a knight, fashioning his own armour and lance and mounting his steed. He persuaded his neighbour, a local peasant farmer, Sancho Panza, to join him, and they set out together to fight injustice through chivalry. Isn't this an example of creating a rainbow bridge, if a somewhat eccentric one? Such chivalry has been called Quixotic, meaning striving for visionary ideals. Now, in order to become Quixotic, we must first overcome our demons. In order to give ourselves to the world in a positive way, we must first know ourselves. Well, Don Quixote is a very much a story about overcoming the enemy within, as well as acting in the world. The great mythologist Joseph Campbell would have said, if he didn't actually say, that this is a perfect archetype of the hero's journey. Don Quixote is a wonderful example of it. Here is an extract from Cervantes' novel to illustrate. Since we expect a Christian reward, we must suit our actions to the rules of Christianity. In giants we must kill pride and arrogance. But our greatest foe, and whom we must chiefly combat, are within. Envy we must overcome by generosity and nobleness of spirit. Anger by a reposed and quiet mind. Riot and drowsiness by vigilance and temperance. Lasciviousness by our inviolable fidelity to the mistresses of our thoughts, and sloth by our indefatigable peregrinations through the universe. Seems like a noble and worthy way. If we do, we can then see these same troubles in our world and perhaps build that rainbow bridge and bring some healing to a world that needs it. Just look at the world, it needs it. But the troubles of our world are no different than they were when Cervantes was writing some 400 years ago, during the times of Jesus, some 2,000 years ago. Intolerance and otherness still divide us against ourselves. Just look at the 9 o'clock news tonight. Don Quixote is just another example of those holy fools who wanted to weave the holy cord that will tie and unite us as one people. They were fools like us. Fools like us. Fools like us. We can be holy fools too. We can build that bridge. In this time of rebuilding, as we return to our lives, it seems sensible to find something that will unite us, perhaps something akin to Quixotic chivalry. Does that sound like an impossible dream, as they sang on that Broadway musical, The Man from La Mancha, based on this tale? I'm just going to repeat some of the words here. I've not got music, so I'm not going to sing this actually. It might be a bit tricky. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star, to reach the unreachable star. Don Quixote, while certainly eccentric, some would have said insane actually, seems like a wonderful example of the heroic archetype of what we can be, a wonderful example of humanity. Yes, a flawed and an imperfect one, but a wonderful one. And this seems particularly pertinent as we've just marked Mental Health Awareness Week. I don't think that the way that he lived was in any way mad. For did he not embody the sacred commandment that we must love one another? Love one another by recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of all persons. This was at the core of Don Quixote. Yes, okay, didn't always see things as most folks do. He struggled and he suffered with his own demons. He didn't always get it right. Remember, he mistook windmills for giants for monsters. Sancho Panza tried desperately to dissuade him, but he would not listen. But don't we all sometimes confuse windmills for giants? That does not, but when we do, it does not mean we can't be heroes to one another. We don't need to be perfect to be heroes to each other. You see, sometimes his vision saw through the prejudice of others. When Sancho Panza sees the peasant woman, the despised Aldonza, Don Quixote sees the beautiful and pure Dulcinea. Aldonza sees herself as someone with no self-worth. But Don Quixote, in the play at least this is, Don Quixote believes in her. He recognizes her worth and dignity, and in time she recognizes this in herself and eventually takes on the name Dulcinea. Don Quixote was determined to right what he saw was wrong in the world. He exemplifies near perfectly Jan Taddeo's suggestion of three simple things: to go outside yourself and know the needs of the world, go within and discover your life-given gifts, then arch yourself like a rainbow bridge between the two and create a more beautiful world. Isn't this what he did? To fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And the world will be better for this, that one man scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. To reach the unreachable star. He built his rainbow bridge and began to reach the unreachable star. Is this an impossible dream? I don't think so. I really don't. In the play inspired by the novel, Don Quixote says on his deathbed, I just wanted to add a measure of grace to this world. Did he achieve this? Well, at the end, there he is, dying alone, despised and rejected. It doesn't appear so, does it? So maybe it was all folly. Was he just a fool after all? Well, maybe not. It's up for us to decide. Well, as he's lying there, to his deathbed comes a Spanish queen with a mantilla of lace. She quietly kneels at his bedside and prays. As she does so, he opens his eyes and asks, Who are you? To which she replies, My lord, don't you remember? You gave me a new name. You called me Dulcinea. I am your lady. I am your lady. Don Quixote refused to treat Aldonza as the others did. He recognized her worth and dignity, and in time she became a person who recognized her own and became a person with worth, dignity, and respect, and lived a beautiful life. And she offered this to those that she met in her life. As Don Quixote did, she recognized this gift within her and saw the need to offer this to the world. She built her rainbow bridge and began to create a more beautiful world. And we can do the same. We can recognize our own worth and dignity, and we can recognize this in others. We can begin to build a more beautiful world. We can create that kingdom of love right here, right now. And in so doing, we begin to not only dream the impossible dream, but we truly begin to live it. But we begin by dreaming the impossible dream, to reach the unreachable star, to aim high, and then it doesn't matter if we fall a little short. Aim higher than you think is possible. And if you fall short, you might just reach the level that truly is possible. But aim higher, expect more from yourselves and one another. Live with disappointment. It's okay, don't be afraid. Reach the unreachable star to dream the impossible dream, and you will go far. I promise you. I'm going to end this reflection with just a few words of blessing. We need to bless more, and we can all bless. We bless by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin today. Let's give our whole hearts to life. So I offer these words as a final blessing for today. Let us once more return to our lives. Let us live open-heartedly so that the Spirit that lives to set us free can enter into us and fill hearts so that we can become beacons of love and connection to those that we meet in this world. Let's build our rainbow bridge. Let's not only dream the impossible dream, but let's truly live it. Let's reach the unreachable star. And let's carry that spirit with us. And may we do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, and in all that we do. Go in love, go in peace. Amen.